OB skills coming out. See which way. Checking the dilation and the dart. At this time, the mayor will call to order the special city council meeting and workshop for 6 p.m. Tuesday, November the 9th, 2021. City Council Chambers, 201 East Nash Street, Terrell, Texas. To order, we have in Chambers, District 4, sorry, District 4, Stephanie Holmes Thomas. District 5, Tim Royce, Mayor Pro Tem. Absent but excused temporarily until he can get back is District 2, Grady Simpson, who is with the TISD school redistricting meeting, and he'll be joining us later. And on the way, who will be joining us shortly, is District 3, Mayrani Velasquez, Deputy Mayor Pro Tem. At this time, if Pastor Kenneth Baker would come to the podium and lead us in invocation. And Pastor, if you would, when you finish, we'll just do the pledges while you're still there, okay?
All right, may we bow our heads. Most gracious Heavenly Father, God, we just thank you. And Father, we just praise you for keeping us all day long. And Father, allowing us to arrive here safely on today. And Father, we just thank you for your strength and your mercy. And God, we thank you for your protection. And Father, I just ask your blessings upon our meeting on tonight. And Father, we even pray for the agenda that will be before the council. God, we lift up this great council. We lift up the mayor and the city manager and all these great councilmen that serve our beautiful city, Terrell, America. And so, Father, we just ask you for your wisdom and your counsel. And God, we just praise you for the days to come. In Jesus' name, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of
America and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God,
one and indivisible.
Pastor, if you would, tell us a little bit about your ministry while you're here and your church, please.
Yes, the name of our ministry is God's Promises Family Church. And God's Promises Family Church was founded in 2014. We actually been in the city since 2014. And we've been in a couple of different locations in Terrell. And we now are part of our downtown district, which is 303 Dallas Street, is where our ministry is now. And the very thing that drives our ministry is family, the love of family, the love of mentoring husbands and wives, and also including the children. So our mission is to build families, not only from the four walls, but to take what we learn in ministry into the community. So we're very interested in partnering with various organizations in the community to mentor and to help strengthen families. And so that's our mission and our call for the city of Terrell, Texas. And so I'm honored and humbled to be here, and there'll be an opportunity to speak before you. So,
thank you, Pastor.
Yes, sir. You're welcome.
Our next item on the agenda is Mayor and Council Community Recognition and Events. The mayor would like to recognize two of its own from the fire department and from the police department in the Terrell Tribune's Reader's Choice of 2021. Terrell's best winner for Terrell's best police officer is our very own Doc Ballard, and congratulations to him. And from the fire department, we want to say thank you and congratulations to Michael Angel for being named the Terrell's best firefighter. Chief, I don't know what happened to you. They just, sorry, I wish I had better news for you, Shane, but no. Always love an opportunity to tell our community how well our police and fire is, and all the hard work, and a lot of it goes back to the leadership. So to the chief, LaCroix and Police Chief, outstanding job in being leaders and running those departments. Does anybody else have any recognitions or remarks? Yes.
So, Mayor and Council, I'll just also throw in that Mayor and I went over to Old Castle Building Envelope this morning. They did a groundbreaking on a new research and development facility that they have initiated construction on. That's a great opportunity for the city of Terrell to take a group of engineers who are already actively working in Terrell. They're going to expand the number of staff of professional engineers they have doing research and technology advancements. And it's really just a great homegrown story because that company's been here for quite some time, and they just keep adding and growing, and that's a great success for us. Business retention is what it's all about. And when you think that nationally and internationally products are invented in Terrell that are able to go all over the world, that's a great thing for us.
Right. And that company dates back to 1962, aluminum framing, I think it was originally. And so congratulations to them. We welcome them in their efforts to reinvest in the community. Our next item on the agenda is to hear remarks from visitors. Do we have any? We don't have no one. So our next item is COVID business. Discuss 6.1, discuss case counts, OSHA requirements, and vaccination program update. This is going to be Mr. Sims.
I'm just going to start us off. I'm going to ask Carol and Shane to come on up. There's a little PowerPoint associated with this, and I'll, I guess, find out from Shane if we're going to have Dustin give that, or if maybe Shane is the star of the show on that. And then I also want Carol to give us some remarks as well. So this is kind of a team effort to deal with COVID, and we are always struggling to keep up with new information. And part of our presentation tonight is going to be just new information coming out of DC. So Shane, take it away.
Mayor and Council, I come for you this evening a replacement for Dustin, since he had a medical emergency at home, so he had to go check on one of his sons. So I'll muddle through this best I can. So what we're looking at first is kind of the state and where we're at with it. As you can see, the rolling average and the month to month, we're kind of moving down and are not trending up, which is good. We have 2,500 basically new confirmed cases, with 139 fatalities. Go the right way. There we go. So when we're looking at Kaufman County, the numbers are pretty telling in that right now we have around 84 confirmed cases in the county, but we have no hospitalizations, and we've had no deaths. So again, we're trending down, which is what we want to do. So our vaccine efforts, we're looking at doing pop-up clinics in each department. What we mean by pop-up clinics is the ability to get those that want to be vaccinated and make it more convenient. I'll be able to do it on a department level. We'll still be doing the weekly clinic that we do out at the airport, and we've seen those numbers kind of ebb and flow as we've been going along. We have plans, to finalize for the airport hangar renovation, and we're trying to now is to secure the Texas Military Force as a partnership to help with giving these vaccines, especially the boosters. We do have doses available, and as soon as we can get them, right now we've kind of wore out a lot of our volunteers, so we're looking to the military for a little assistance there. Mobile clinics, we're still doing those. So this Saturday, November the 20th, they'll be doing one in Maybank. And then also, a booster clinic for the Terrell Independent School District, and that's still to be announced when that'll be done. So we're looking to the military for a little assistance there. Mobile clinics, we're still doing those. So this Saturday, November the 20th, they'll be doing one in Maybank. And then also, a booster clinic for the Terrell Independent School District, and that's still to be announced when that'll be done. So OSHA's ETS and the vaccine mandate, you know, this new regulation that doesn't apply, you know, to Texas, because Texas has no state plan. Through, you know, research, we found that, you know, the regulations are not required to our ARPA funds. And based on services provided for receipt of Medicaid and Medicare. And that's how, you know, a lot of times they mandate for hospitals is because they, you know, they work off Medicaid and Medicare. And, you know, we'll continue to review and follow this topic as it evolves. As you know, it's playing out in the court system as we speak, so.
All right, so for those within the community who wish to either be vaccinated and/or get the booster, we have Wednesday
Yes, sir.
from 8 to 12
Yes, sir.
at the, is it at the airport?
It's still at the
Currently?
airport, yes.
And then we're also going to set up a vaccine for our employees,
That's correct.
correct? Okay. Does anybody have any comments, questions, Mike, or council?
So, Mayor and Council, I wanted Carol and Shane both to kind of just weigh back in on this point of, listen, we still need people to get vaccinated, and there's a lot of challenges with that. And I thought it'd be useful if both Carol and Shane kind of gave some remarks along those lines. So, Carol, take it away.
Oh, thank you, Mike. Excuse my voice. To the mayor and council, I wanted to key on the bullet point of the COVID crisis is evolving and what it means for our employees and how we respond to the citizens of Terrell. As the chief said, they are in the process, the continuing process of providing the vaccines to citizens and city employees. Obviously, my overall responsibility is to ensure that we will or become compliant if that issue ever arises. As the fire chief spoke, originally the Biden administration used language that was general and that the mandate would apply to any employer with 100 employees or more. But now that it is ran through the OSHA agency, and because we are a federal OSHA state, it does not apply to state and local government employees at this point. But if it evolves into or ran through a different agency where the state and local governments that are not OSHA under the OSHA guidelines and procedures, then we will bring back that information to you so that you will know how the city is going to govern itself in its compliance.
Well, thank you both for briefing the council and being ahead of it and giving us the information we need to move forward so that if you're contacted by a constituent, you can give them truthful information. Do we have somewhere on our city's homepage or website where they can go and get the information right, Allison?
Yes.
So we would encourage our citizens to do that. And if they'd like to get the vaccine and/or the booster, please do that on our portal.
And then more importantly, also inclusive in the citizens, we would like to encourage our employees who have not to consider taking the vaccinations or if at least one of the shots to start the process. The fire department does an excellent job in administering those vaccinations, so I would strongly encourage those who have not to consider, not for your sake, but for the sake of others. As I was telling Mike yesterday, if you've never seen a COVID, if it is COVID, I embrace that it is COVID, a person being hospitalized. I had a very close friend who was transported by Terrell Fire Department paramedics with an oxygen level of 45 percent, and ended up having both legs amputated and then both arms, and still died. So that thing is real, and it's not for you as an individual, but it's to protect others, especially those who are vulnerable. I would encourage city employees to consider taking that as we work together to make this a better city.
You know, you can set aside the legal wrangling that's going on, whether it's mandated or not. The truth of the matter is, for us to get out of the situation that we're in, people have to get vaccinated. You know, curious enough, some of the numbers that I found today when I was kind of looking into this was that, you know, somebody that's unvaccinated is 6.1% greater risk of catching COVID than somebody that is vaccinated. But the interesting number comes after that, is that if you're non-vaccinated, you have 11.3 greater risk of dying from it than somebody that is vaccinated. So, you know, the data kind of speaks for itself. You know, in order to become a pandemic, it takes a community effort, but it's going to take that same community effort for us to get, you know, to get out of this. So, as far as the fire department, we're trying to make it as convenient as we can for somebody that wants the shot. We make it available to them. We'll come to your house if you call us. We want everybody to take advantage of that. We want our staff, the employees with the Terrell, to also take that under consideration.
Yeah, we want to encourage as much as we can for those to be vaccinated. I agree with you on that. Okay.
Go ahead.
Chief, what I'd certainly ask is that we work with our Public Information Officer, Allison, to get the word out that we do have the booster shots. And while I know we've done some work, and I could be wrong, I don't think we have our direct phone number for if they have a question about, hey, can we come out to your house, or can, church call this direct number to partner for those booster shots, or if, someone has not received the shot at all, to start continue and enhance those efforts would be my ask. And then doing an outreach like we've done in the past to our local churches and organizations to say we have the booster. You can come have it here. Please disperse that information within your organization and churches. And certainly, big thank you to Carol and yourself for taking the lead and providing that opportunity to our own staff here. And one of the questions I had before the presentation was, hey, are we in contact with the school district to offer the booster? So I see that that's something that we're already working on to see if they'll choose us as a partner to do that.
So, hey, just to be clear, we have both Pfizer and Moderna available for the booster, correct? Are we waiting?
Right now, Pfizer is what's been approved, so we're still waiting on approval from, I'm sorry, Moderna has been approved, and Pfizer is already approved before that, so yeah, we're good.
We have both? Okay.
I want to commend you guys on your, on letting us know, keeping us up with the updates of what's going on with COVID. We hear things on television all the time, but just to get that for our city is important. I'd be interested in talking to you, Ms. Holland, about the percentage of staff that's vaccinated, what you think, if you had any feedback or any kind of brainstorming that would help us get more people vaccinated as a city as far as our employees. If their employees are not out there healthy, they can't work and take care of us. We need our firefighters. We need all of us to, be successful and to be a great city. So I'd be interested in that, and maybe if you had some ideas with, even if it's incentives or wherever, or whatever, but I'd be open to just listening and just hearing what those numbers sound like, or you may even have heard feedback from people since you're in the city about, the hesitation or whatever. And it's crazy. I took care of a guy today, 47 years old, October 4th. He just started. I took his trach out. He's trying to talk a little bit. Healthy guy, breadwinner of the family. And sometimes those personal experiences will help people. But we kind of chuckled about it. Since October 4th, he lost 70 pounds. I don't know if that would want to be the weight loss or diet plan that I would want, but I thought that was beneficial that he has lost 70 pounds in a month. I think that's a record. But I thank you guys for keeping us in the know and letting us know what's going on. But I'd like to sit down and talk to you guys about some of those things.
Sure. Just be aware that with HIPAA laws,
HIPAA, yeah, you're right.
the health and privacy laws available, I wouldn't have the individual data. Now, there is a database, and with the fire department so diligently performing that task, they would probably be better in a position to say who, if they can reveal the numbers. Personally, I do know that there are departments where employees have talked about that they've had the vaccination, but that's the extent that I would be able to conversate on that topic. You know, I would hope, as the fire chief says, that employees would embrace the vaccination and again do it for others. What you may not know, there is a state law that went into effect on September 1, where there is an impact to our budget because all public safety personnel, fire and police in our case, if they contract COVID, it is presumptive that they attracted it at work. So that cost is incumbent upon the city. And we have had three staff members who contracted COVID. 2 were hospitalized extensively. So it does have an impact on our workers' comp claim. So I would hope, again, you know, politics aside, that staff members would know how important it is. And it does affect our budget, but it is presumptive that if, again, a police or a firefighter contracts COVID, there is no need to do a contact tracing. It is presumptive that it was obtained or contracted at work.
Okay.
We have that.
All I would just kind of cap us off with here is to say, first off, I'll answer Councilwoman Thomas's comment by saying, you can tell from the fact that we're having the fire department go from department to department to offer another round of COVID vaccination opportunity, that we would like that vaccination rate to be higher. Next, a lot of what we're concentrating on is just logistical capabilities. We want to have a lot of tests on hand for maintaining compliance with any testing regimes we have to do, and we want to maintain the ability to do a large amount of testing and vaccination through our 800 Airport Road portion of our efforts. And I'm going to talk about that in the next agenda item.
Okay. Thank you very much. Let the record reflect that Mayor Ronnie Velasquez, Deputy Mayor Pro Tem District 3, has joined the meeting. Our next item on the agenda is 6.2, discuss and consider lease at 600 and 800 Airport Road. This is our city manager, Mike Sims.
So, Mayor and Council, I'm going to turn your attention to agenda page 5. On agenda item page 5, there's a map. That map shows the complex where we have, I like to think of this as where the 2 old hangars from when the British were here during World War II. Those are still remaining. They're on Airport Road. One of them is at 600 Airport Road, and it has been identifiably leased by Old Castle Building Envelope for a large number of years. And it's connected to quite a few other Old Castle buildings on your map that shows as being 600 Airport Road. And then there's another one that shows as being 800 Airport Road. That's the one that looks like it's got a rusty roof, and we've been doing some improvements to it lately. Some of you guys might have been out at the Chamber of Commerce event for that. Well, in order to make our vaccination hub at 800 Airport Road really work, we would need to make sure that we have an alternate access route. We've done that and constructed that. So you see here on this map where it says 50-foot common access. That allows us to do a better job running our vaccination hub, because it means that we can lease the back half of 800 Airport Road. And we've negotiated with a local company that some of you have heard of named Madix. Denny Roy, representing Madix, is here today. So we're going to be leasing first part and then all of that building to them. We had to negotiate with the 600 Airport Road lease to do that common access area. So there's two items where we're going to ask you to take action on tonight. The first one is 800 Airport Road. This one has a provision in it that allows Madix to be into the southern half of the building, basically for the the December through end of March period. There's a lease rate associated with that because, as you know, we have to do appraisals on these properties to meet Texas aviation guidelines, since these are technically airport property. And then starting on April 1st, that lease converts to being 100% of the 800 Airport Road facility. There's a provision in there that lets us basically kick our tenant out and use the hangar for emergency COVID operations after April, if we might still need to do that in that after April period. And then April 2022, I should say. And then we provide a lease rate for that, again, based on the appraisal. There's a little bit of an incentive there in case they want to do some roof repairs for that building. And then there's an option to extend it for an additional 5 years after the first 5-year period. So all of that is the Madix 800 Airport Road side of it. Again, we get to continue running our COVID vaccination hub and move on with that. These are companion items, though, because that common access area is new, and we have to change our lease with Old Castle on 600 Airport Road. So the 600 Airport Road one is the next lease in there. It actually shows up as a second amendment, so when we vote on that, we need to vote as the second amendment to that lease. Conveniently enough, it was up for lease renewal anyhow. And so we've got that negotiated out. Again, we used a appraised number on that we have to do through the Texas Aviation Division, and we're ready to get that amended as well. So be happy to answer any questions on those two leases, but it allows us to continue to run a vaccination hub out at 800 Airport Road, and then have two major businesses using these two historic aviation properties. Happy to answer any questions.
So I noticed Denny Roy's here. Denny, did you want to make a comment to the council before we?
Just a couple.
Okay.
Very short spoken. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for your time this evening. My name's Denny Roy. I'm here tonight representing Madix on Madix's behalf of possibly leasing the building, city-owned building at 800 Airport Road. This facility would be used only for finished goods storage, and we would make a shipping point out of it. Mike and I have been in talks for several months now, trying to negotiate this, and we're getting very, very close. Madix is not quite there yet to pull the trigger because we're looking at some other options within our plant about possible. We have an outside consultant that's in working with us for finished goods storage, but we're out of warehouse space. And, excuse me, it's very advantageous from our point, given we have a plant at 500 Airport Road, Skyline. We're running trucks up and down the road all day long anyhow. So it would be, if we can work this deal out, it's very advantageous for us. And we're getting close. I'm open for any questions.
No, I think Mike gave us the presentation. I think we're good. Does anybody have any questions?
Mike's done a very good job on this.
Thank you. And well, you know what? Our relationship with the city and Madix and economic development goes way back. We want to continue those partnerships and relationships. We don't, we preach job creation, but this is also job retention type things, and we want to keep you guys moving forward and building business.
So do we.
Good for the city, right?
If you can twist Mike's arm a little bit and work out a little better deal on
He's
the
tough,
lease.
I know. You don't want to have to come back and tell the mayor.
I understand.
that he got a bad
I
deal.
understand.
Right, okay.
And Mike, I'll be in touch with you tomorrow. The extension to the lease was good. We got a couple questions on that. It's been a busy day, and I just reviewed it prior to this meeting, so I'll be in touch with you tomorrow.
Denny, thank you for coming. We
Thank you
appreciate
all.
your comments.
That's a good jumping off point, by the way, just for clarity on how we want to approach these. Both these need to be falling under the heading of negotiate and execute, because either one of these could have a couple of last-minute little edits to it, and
Okay.
we always want to vote as negotiate and execute.
Okay. Do y'all, council, have that, negotiate and execute? All right, is there any further discussion on the leases at 600 and 800 Airport Road? Hearing none, the mayor will entertain a motion on those leases.
Mayor, I make a motion to move our city manager to negotiate
And execute?
and execute the lease well, the lease is at 600 and 800 Airport Road with Madix.
All right, we have a motion from Mayor Ronnie Velasquez, Deputy Mayor Pro Tem District 3. Is there a second?
Second.
Have a second from Tim Royce, Mayor Pro Tem District 5. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, let it be known by stating aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion will carry. Our next item on the agenda is 7.1, discuss and consider zoning board of adjustments appointments. This is City Secretary Don Stile.
Mayor and council, the zoning board of adjustments has one open position on that needs to be replaced. And in your packet is several applications. And this board is under the oversight of Ronnie Velasquez.
All right, Mayor Ronnie, what's your pleasure?
Mayor, I'm going to make a motion to table this item.
All right, we have a motion from Mayor Ronnie Velasquez, Deputy Mayor Pro Tem, District 3, to table. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a second from Tim Royce, Mayor Pro Tem, District 5. Is there any further discussion?
Discussion, are we
Yes.
going to review it at the next meeting?
Yes. So it's tabled until, what date?
November 16th.
16th.
16th. Okay. So we have a motion and a second. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, let it be known by stating aye. Any opposed? Motion will carry. Our next item on the agenda is item 8.1, discuss change of printer vendor contract. This is our library IT director, Rebecca Anderson.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for your time this evening. Oh, thank you. My ear's ringing. In your packet, I believe you have the full proposal from Sharp Technology. Some highlights of that. We did, in the spring this year, we did a citywide printer assessment to see what was actually going on. The printing budget, part of the IT budget, is a challenge, and it is over budget most years. And so to try to get that under control, we did the assessment, and Sharp came in and gave us a proposal based on that data. In the proposal, they provide us an update to all of our multifunction printer technology, including how to streamline processes, increase productivity, provide document security, provide a solution to remove current devices, right-size our fleet. As you can see there, they found that 80% of our fleet was oversold, meaning people had machines that were huge and did all these different things that they didn't actually need. And so we're paying a lot of money for two big machines. And it also looks at how much you print, and the proposal will help us reduce our color usage. Currently, our color usage is at 49%. This is something that I learned. Your color usage should not be over 20%. So, because your price per page costs more for color than black and white. We currently have 14 different contracts with Xerox, and based on some of those, 7 of those ending, we've terminated 7 of them. So we have 7 left that we have to pay off. The proposal that Sharp did will include a payoff amount to help us get out of that, and we'll talk about that a little more later. Also, Sharp will come in and remove the Xerox machines from all locations, prep them for return, and those that have been terminated, we'll go ahead and return those. And then the remainder of machines will be removed from service and stored on site. Hopefully, I'm gonna be really nice to Glenn Caldwell, and he's gonna let us put them at the service center until their contract ends, and then we'll return those as well. Currently, we have 75 devices. A lot of these are office desktop printers. And I will tell you that not in every case, but in many cases, we have people who have multifunction printers in their office, and they have a very large copy machine that does the same thing and more right outside their office. And so part of what we did, Sharp came in, we did 2 walkthroughs through all city facilities, looked at what printers were where and copiers, and how we could downsize the fleet and still be efficient as far as staff time and things like that. Those 75 devices are under contract with Xerox, and they end varying times. We had some that ended in 2021, some that ended in 2022, 23, and then we have 2 major contracts that do not end until 2025. Our printer assessment told us that we were printing about 30,000 black and white copies per month at either a penny and a half or up to 5 cents a page, depending on overages, because you're allotted so many prints per month. And then almost 30,000 color prints as well, anywhere from almost 10 cents to 22 cents per page, which is ridiculously high. That meant that in our printer contract with Xerox, we have a print management contract with a company. We pay a base amount per machine. We pay price per page, color and black and white, and we pay for our own supplies, which in my research is unheard of. If you're paying for management and a contract on these machines, everything should be included except consumables, and that's paper and staples. So our printing budget ranged anywhere from $11,000 to almost $16,000 a month, depending on how much people were printing, time of year, projects, things like that. And the toner, we have toner by the stack. Because people were ordering toner and then they would get a new machine. Well, that toner is no longer viable, so they put it in stock. We have stock. If anybody has a Xerox printer, we have stock. And that's fiscally irresponsible to not manage that type of thing. So our annual budget could be as high as $188,000 a year, and that's overwhelming to think that you're spending that much money on printers. After Sharp came in, we did a walkthrough. We looked at everything. We discussed multiple times the best setup for the staff in each department based on their facility, office location, all that stuff. We have cut the fleet from 75 to 51 devices. And that includes, because of stock shortages nationwide, they do not have the small, big version of the printer. So that's the MX3571, which means it prints 35 pages a minute. So they have offered to upgrade 6 of those machines to the MX5071 at no additional cost. The term is 60 months. You see the cost per page there is $0.009 for black and white and 5 cents per page for color. And that includes overages. So you're not ever going to be charged more than that right there. They have included our equipment return, and that totals out to about $9,073.83 a month and includes the $80,000 buyout amount. So we're getting an all-new fleet. They're buying out our Xerox contracts, helping us get them sent back, as well as the headache that staff has right now dealing with printers. We have printers that are down for a month or more at different times because we don't have the right toner, we can't get the right toner, the machine has a problem, and we can't get service. The overall annual amount would be $128,000. And I know that doesn't sound like a huge decrease, but if you think about the amount of staff and staff time spent on trying to get printers working or get toner and things, it's a blessing. It is a huge decrease. So their investment includes delivery and installation of the entire system, training for a lifetime because these machines are going to be different from anything we have, a lot of new technology to make our lives easier, more secure. It includes their premier program full service maintenance agreement, 30,000 black and white copies and 30,000 color. All the toner, parts, labors, and supplies are included except paper and staples. The complimentary Sharp cloud-based service application, which is MICAS, the paper cut print management software, and then ongoing IT support. So MICAS is what will report to them that your toner is getting low. The machine will automatically detect toner levels, and when it gets to a certain level, it sends in a request to replace it. So there will not be a machine that has no toner. There's no downtime for anybody for that reason. It also will report directly to Sharp service technicians if there's a problem with the machine. So if there's paper jam continually, the technicians know first. That way they can address that. They have remote access, can come in remotely and service the machine. They know if they need a service technician out here, and they will schedule that with us. If a machine has the same problem multiple times, they come and get it, bring you a loaner machine, take the problem machine away, and replace it if necessary, or fix it off-site. The paper cut print management software is what tells you who, when, where, why, and how within your organization. It offers secure printing release, which means all city staff have an access card to get in the building. That is what you would use to release your print jobs. So you're not going to print something and it's going to sit on the machine and everybody's going to come and pick it up and look at it while they look for their stuff. It offers full page watermarking, mobility printing, which means you can use your desktop, laptop, or mobile device to print. The Find Me print, if I'm at the library and I'm coming to council and I have something I need to print and I forget it, all I have to do is walk up to any machine in this building and swap my access card, and my prints are going to come out at that machine. It's cloud ready, access to over 80 pre-built reports so that you see who's printing what and what's going on there. And then it also offers you the option of a price quota. So if you have a very strict budget, you say each department has this much money to print. Then once that budget is finished, then they have to come and say, we're out of printing budget. We need to apply some of our own department funds to our printing budget. But that helps you just kind of control your spending that way. And to summarize, we have Xerox has been a real headache for, as far as I can tell, the entire city. For the last 2 years I know of, since I've taken over IT, every day, all day, there's a printing issue. It is staff time intensive. The time that machines are down is just unnecessary. It is. It prevents people from being able to do their jobs efficiently. The inventory management burden, we have an entire cage of Xerox toners in our fire bay. That space could be used for the fire department. I mean, it's simply an inventory management burden that's unnecessary as well. And minimal smart IT capacity. Sharp, so far, just in this beginning process, is phenomenal. They are responsive. They are helpful. They have bent over backwards to meet our needs and try to fit within our budget. As reduced staff time on these types of things, downtime for machines, a simplified inventory with that automatic ordering, we don't have to worry about that kind of thing. And the smart technology is phenomenal. And it will take time to learn these things, but I think it will make our lives so much easier that people will appreciate it.
All right, so I guess the main idea here is it'll make us more efficient.
Yes,
Right, so,
absolutely.
But it covers police, fire, library, city.
The entire
service
city.
center,
Correct.
every printer that we have currently
Correct.
has been looked at and included in this proposal.
Yes, sir.
Why would we store Xerox copiers? Why wouldn't we just return them? And my thinking is, what happens if they get destroyed, harmed, or come up missing in the time that we shut the service off until we have to send them? Why wouldn't they just come and get them? Or we would-
Well, because that's a great question, and I asked that question myself. Why would we not just pay off the contracts? It's because they're actual leases, and so if you just bought them outright, the amount is almost double what our buyout is now. We are sending, the machines that we're gonna be storing are large copy machines. So they're not going to just disappear unless the Hulk comes in and,
Well,
F some up.
I guess my point would be, if we were contacting Xerox and saying, we're canceling the contract,
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna pay you out, but please come get your machine, we don't want something to happen.
they don't do that. You have to return them.
Oh, you return it,
Correct.
but they won't accept it because it's still under a lease?
It's, the bank is the one that you're dealing with the lease, not Xerox directly. And so we have to deal with them first, and then we send the machines back to Xerox.
Once the lease is up?
Correct.
Because they want.
There's only gonna be like 3 machine, maybe 5 machines
Okay.
that we are paying on for more than about a year and a half.
Okay, so the leasing agent wants us to keep that for collateral?
We don't have to do, that's Sharp's recommendation,
Okay.
so that we're not having to pay a significant amount out of pocket.
Okay, well, if it saves us money, but I'd be.
About
real
almost
cautious on how we-
$80,000.
For $80,000, I will tell Glenn that he's gonna.
The copiers are on lockdown.
All right. Does anybody have any staff?
Question, SLA or service level agreements. So is there a certain service level agreement that says, hey, Sharp will come out and fix
Yes, sir.
the fleet?
Yes, and it is in that, the packet that's in your, or the proposal in your packet. If you'll give me a minute, I can tell you what page it is, but I don't have that right in front of me.
As long as it's in there and you're
Yes,
comfortable with
we
it?
have response times based on situations, 1 to 3 hours, immediate, if they can't remote in, and then it goes from there.
Well, I am excited to, get this project, moving forward so we can get you onto the next project and save us some more money and identify ways to improve, the way we do work here and make it more efficient. Why would we not decrease the $30,000, color printing to a lower number and reduce that cost?
Actually, I think we will. That, they put that number in there because that's based on what we were actually doing. But with some of the other projects that we're looking into in IT, I think our number of prints is gonna go down significantly. The goal is to help people work smarter and not print as much. And these machines will help us do that. With the fact that you have the secure print, when you go to print, if you've printed something that you didn't need to, you printed something and then you edit it and then you reprint it, you don't have to, when you get to the machine, you don't have to print that first copy. Oh, that's the one that I messed up, so you delete that and print the new one. The technology is gonna help us print smarter. But they did that just based on our numbers that we had. It was a 90-day assessment, and that was about an average. We had, like I said, we had some months where we printed more than that, but we're
Current usage is what they use, our current usage.
correct.
We'll be charged by current usage, but 30,000 is what we're allowed.
Mm-hmm.
And since you just mentioned that the assessment, Becca, I'm thinking about the organization that I work for, and there's specific printers that will only allow you to print black and white. And then
Right.
we might have one with, maybe it's an executive assistant that kind of mans that printer that has the color printing there. So are we minimizing some of that color printing by having only specific printers?
Yes. All machines citywide will default to black and white. And if you are gonna print in color, you have to go in and actually change it to color. The machines, for the most part, the desktop machines that we're replacing with desktop machines, which are not very many, they are only black and white printers. They're not multifunction and they don't have a color function on them. There's a handful that will have the color function, but most of them will not. And that way we're getting a handle on that kind of thing.
Do you know, I'm sorry, Councilwoman, are you done? Are you still?
I'm done. Thank you, Becca.
Thank
So
you.
Do we know, percentage-wise, maybe, how many prints we have that are a mistake? In other words, we needed them color, but they came back black and white, or we didn't need them color, we actually needed black and white?
We do
Do we
not.
have a lot of that? Would you say that's, do we?
Across all departments.
Becca is kind of keying you in on a big point here. Our default in the entire system right now is when you punch that button, it comes out color. And I can tell you flat out, that means that we're making a mistake, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's easy. And so I just think part of the management here of going to a smarter system, I think that's very important. And I'll tell you, the misfire of printing is a big problem. I like very much that you've got to walk over to the printer and scan it, and that then makes your print job come out. Because I'm sure we're printing things from time to time and never going to pick that print job up. So that's another great way to manage this.
The paper cut software on here that will help us track what we're printing will also, if I'm not mistaken, will track deleted print jobs. So it will tell us how many were deleted, and that will kind of give us an idea of how many things were printed mistakenly. It also will tell you how much paper you're using and how to cut back on your paper usage. It's got the green factor so that we can be more environmentally friendly. That's
So-
important.
So if you accidentally hit print, it won't print until you go to, but in the time that you go and you realize, hey, I shouldn't have hit print, I can go back and cancel it,
Well, when you get to the machine, you just hit delete.
and don't scan it, or delete the print.
Yes, it goes into like a print queue, so they're all in line, and you delete the one you don't want and print the one you do.
Okay.
And these machines are very fast, and so people have asked how long they have to wait for their prints. They're printing up to 50 pages a minute, so you don't have to wait long.
Good.
I'm going to echo Councilwoman Velasquez's comment and just say, clearly, Becca's doing a wonderful job for us. We assigned her to this IT function, and I just appreciate the fact that she's been kind of methodically going through from phones to this to other issues, and taking sometimes a scalpel, sometimes a battle axe, and trimming some of the fat off our operation. So I appreciate that very much. And yes, there are other projects in the queue.
Wonderful. All right, well, thank you, Becky.
Thank you.
All right, council. So this was just a discussion.
Right, you'll
item.
see it
We'll
back
see
on a
the
future
contract.
agenda item when we have the contract ready.
Our next item on the agenda is 9.1, discuss and consider development agreement between the City of Terrell and Rand Partners LP. Mr. Sims.
Okay, so I'm going to try to correctly get you over to a Resolution 1072, and I think I'm going to be able to accurately tell you that that's on page 85. And we discussed this in executive session previously. We do have an opportunity to do a development agreement with Rand Corporation. That's the business name for Randall No. And under that agreement, what we would be doing would basically to say, okay, we'd like to incent him to construct a new dealership in town. We think that's a positive thing. He's proposed as a 20,000 square foot building on a 7-acre site on Spur 557 slash Interstate 20. Not trying to be very specific about that location, but out on the highway, so to speak. And the only development incentive he's requesting, people often ask for development incentives. He's willing to pay full impact fees, full development fees, and all that sort of good stuff, as long as we provide a little bit of flexibility on the use of his existing buildings at the corner of US 80 and State Highway 205. So as we talked about this and kind of went through the options, we said, well, how are we going to make sure we get some quality out of this situation? And what we felt like was the important thing to include was the rezoning of the properties. So for those of you with a long history in Terrell, one of them is the old Johnny Miguel's. That's the one that is on State Highway 205 across the street from Napoli's. That was used for used car sales for an extended period of time. And then the other property is the one that you might think of as being not next to Los Hermanos. That's the old Ford dealership, right? So Ford dealership has been closed. The used car dealership has been closed. He's been using those, maybe not quite up to snuff, according to all the rules for some storage and some sales. And we want to make sure that we get that cleaned up. All of that property is light industrial. And so it's been one of our goals over the last few years to slowly get that corner rezoned as being retail, because then anything new that comes up would have to meet retail standards. And of course, that's much better for us than meeting light industrial standards. So basically, the agreement in the authorization resolution goes through and says, okay, we're going to allow the use of those two properties during the construction and opening of a new car dealership for a period of time. We put an outer boundary on that of about 3 years. Temporary use would not be granted until he applies for a zoning change to retail on the properties, and the properties don't become a health, fire, safety hazard. And then, similar to what you've seen before, you're basically assigning me the job of negotiating that final agreement, the mayor the job of executing it, and allowing those temporary uses during the construction of a new car dealership. If you flip over to page 87, then you're going to see the actual state of that agreement of where it stands at this point. We're still waiting for Mr. No and his lawyer to give us some feedback. So my guess is there's going to be some changes to that. So I don't want you to feel like, oh, we're as far along as we are perhaps with that Madix agreement. I think this one is a little bit more in flux, but in order to move this project along, we did want to go ahead and get an authorization for us to continue to work on it. Page 2 of the agreement, which I believe is going to be page 88 of the agenda. It's got a term in there. It sets a land acquisition date that he needs to be purchasing the land for that new car dealership. We understand from him that he's going to be able to accomplish that by January 1st, 2022. And then everything in the agreement sort of runs from that acquisition date, okay? And he's got to obtain the COs. He's got to apply for the rezoning. There's a deadline in there for the construction of the public infrastructure necessary for the new dealership. We know that where he's putting it, he's got to extend a road. So that's an important step for us, and we think well worth it for us to get a little bit of new road built as part of this agreement. And then he's got a certain number of months to construct the actual new car dealership itself. And our obligations are simply to allow him to do these things and get this done in this period of time. So again, it's, I think, making the best out of a situation. I think it's going to be difficult to get a redevelopment of that corner while that corner is under reconstruction. As you know, TxDOT will be ripping up the 205, 148 US 80 intersection sometime starting next summer. They'll probably spend 2.5 years doing that reconstruction project. It'll be frustrating during that period of time, and if we can have a temporary use in those buildings and then come back around at the end of it and have some new retail zoning on those properties, I think that's probably about as best as we're going to get out of that situation. So staff's going to recommend it and ask you to authorize Resolution 1072.
So, Council, we discussed this last Tuesday, and we had input from ourselves to the city manager. He has come back with the development agreement. and inserted those concerns that we had. And it's up for consideration. Does anybody have any comments or questions or as we move forward?
Mayor,
Yes.
if it's all right with you, I would like a 5-minute recess.
Yeah, we can recess for 5 minutes. No, I tried it. I couldn't, I had to work. I was out mowing.
Mayor
I tried
Carmona.
that too. This time, we're going to reconvene into regular session. So we were on discussing and consider the development agreement between the City of Terrell and Rand Properties Partners LP. Is there any further discussion or questions of Mike? Mr. Sims? All right, here.
Mike, would you briefly point out the main items where the
Sure.
agreement would fall out? I believe that.
Sure, yeah, let's talk about moments of failure, right? So moments of failure would be things like the land must be purchased by January 1, 2022. That's the land for the new dealership. Within 30 days of that, he would have to have applied to rezone the 2 existing properties we discussed. It would fail if he doesn't do that. It would fail if he didn't obtain a temporary CO by that 30-day mark, 30 days after purchase of that new land. The idea there is that he still has to meet health and safety codes in order to obtain a new CO. That includes painting the 2 existing buildings. And then he's got an 18-month mark after that to finish construction on public infrastructure associated with the new dealership. If he doesn't, that's a mark of failure. And then the final one, of course, is getting that opening a certificate of occupancy on the new dealership within, I think, 30 months is what we have in there. And that would be, again, a provision for failure if he does not do that. Then it all sort of wraps up where, okay, no matter what other contingency or slight delay or whatever else you might have, the whole thing's got to be done in 36 months. And that means, like, for example, say he were to finish on the last day of his eligibility to build the building. Well, he's only got so much time to then move out of the 2 buildings that are on the corner of 80 and 205, and that's another point of failure. So several fail-safes in there, several opportunities for the city to say, hey, look, you didn't buy that land in a timely manner, the deal's off. And so I think that's an important provision for us. We've done a couple of other deals over the last 10 to 15 years that have involved these fail-safe provisions of you have to buy the land by this date. And frankly, sometimes the developer will get it done and sometimes they won't. And so we put this as performance-based by the company.
And really, I mean, this agreement, well, it has, various points where the agreement might not proceed if Mr. Rand does not comply with all the required steps. It's really, the city and our department's responsibility to make sure that we also don't allow it to move forward if Mr. Rand does not proceed accordingly.
Yes, yes. This is definitely an active management contract, you might put it that way. We have to actively manage this, and Charles will be part of that, Mary Gill will be part of that. We'll be over this every step of the way.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
Mike, does it state right now that the property is currently, hold on, it's a development term, a non-conforming use?
Yeah, if
and
you
that
go
the
over.
dealership
Yeah.
has technically expired from being a dealership?
Thank you, yes. If you review the whereas provisions, I think the last or maybe the second to last whereas provision contains that language. It says that we're mutually agreeing on points A, B, and C, which is basically what you just recited. And then Mary Gail's got language for us elsewhere in the agreement that refer to the recitals as being binding. And so that's an important thing Mary Gail always includes in our agreements.
Okay, and then one more question, and this is maybe just in the weeds, but on C, and I'll read it to you because I know it's not in front of you, but it does say is to build a building of 20,000 square foot as the new Hyundai car dealership. Should it be exactly 20,000 square foot, or should it be no less than 20,000 square foot? That is
That's a minimum.
minimal. Well, it doesn't say it. It just, and I think that's nitpicking, but it's a contract.
We can add the minimum, you want.
That's fine. That's part of, that's part of finalizing the language. So we're
Okay,
happy
so
to do
then that
yeah.
can be done on your.
Oh, absolutely.
on your
Right,
side of the
right.
world.
Yeah, remember the authorization, Resolution 1072, I think, is a directive for me to negotiate, which is really kind of always is that blanket world of Mary Gail notices something, Charles notices something, you know, one of the staff team says, hey, let's make sure we reword that in such and such a way. So that's certainly possible. Yes, sir.
As we move forward, I just want to, for the record, Grady Simpson District 2 has joined us. Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you, Mike. Anyone else? Hearing none, the mayor will entertain a motion on 9.1.
Mayor, make a motion on 9.1 as presented.
To approve.
Make a motion to approve, sorry.
Have a motion to approve from Tim Royce, Mayor Pro Tem District 5. Is there a second?
Second.
Have a second from Mayor Ronnie Velasquez, Deputy Mayor Pro Tem District 3. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, let it be known by stating aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion will carry. Our next item on the agenda is to adjourn into executive session in accordance with Section 551 of the Texas Government Code to discuss the Section 551.072 deliberations regarding real property, Section 551.074 personnel matters, Section 551.087 deliber.
You're going to be fired.
I know.
Don's going to. You're fired.
This time, we're going to reconvene into regular session, discuss any actions if necessary. Is there a motion?
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the agreement between the City of Terrell and Southwestern Christian College.
Can you say that as Mike to negotiate and Mayor to execute? Yeah. Is that okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome.
Great. Have a motion from Tim Royce, Mayor Pro Tem District 5. Is there a second?
Second.
Have a second from Grady Simpson, District 2. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, let it be known by stating aye.
Aye.
Any